Welcome to another installment of Deconstructing Babylon, where we discern the signs and symbols of the mystery religion of Hollywood Babylon. I'm the Discerning Clerk, and I use a biblical framework to deconstruct my favorite movies from the 90s.
Noticed your eyeglasses. They don't have any lenses in them.
They're my dad's. The lenses hurt my eyes.
Today's selection is the Coen brothers' Oscar-winning thriller Fargo. It's gory, violent, profane, and bleak. But it has a Midwest charm that is undeniable. Despite the claim this movie is based on a true story, it only loosely uses two strange cases as the basis for some of the characters and storylines. It is otherwise the product of the genius of the writer-director sibling duo who would go on to win Best Original Screenplay for their work. It was critically acclaimed and so well loved by audiences that it sparked a 5-season series. Even the Video Movie Guide gives it 4.5 stars and says, filmmakers Joel and Ethan Coen returned to their film noir roots with this remarkable motion picture, which recalls their initial screen triumph, Blood Simple. Here, a soft-spoken car salesman arranges for his wife to be kidnapped with the idea of keeping most of the ransom provided by her wealthy father. Unfortunately, nothing goes quite as he plans. It's hilarious, twisted, and sometimes shocking. In other words, a must-see. Rated R. To be very honest, I'm not sure what symbolism we'll see here in Fargo. Then again, I never know what we'll find with any deconstruction. Probably Freemason stuff. Maybe some Roman Catholic stuff. If there's a 90s movie you'd like me to deconstruct, drop a title in the comments. But otherwise, let's get started and see what we see in Fargo. The movie opens with a white screen that slowly turns into a winter scene on a lonely road with a single vehicle making its way towards us. Technically, it's two vehicles and one is being towed. Pulls into the parking lot of a dive bar in Fargo, North Dakota, and we meet the so-called soft-spoken salesman, Jerry Lundegaard.
I'm Jerry Lundegaard.
He's there to meet ne'er-do-wells Carl and Gayar, and he nervously negotiates a deal with them.
You want your own wife kidnapped?
Yeah.
We find out that Jerry needs the money, half the ransom in fact. So he gives Jay and Carl and Gayar, a new car, the tan Sierra he towed there, and his father-in-law will pay an $80,000 ransom for his kidnapped daughter, Jerry's wife. Back in Minnesota, we meet Jerry's wife, Jean, and her wealthy father, Wade.
Dad?
What?
Are you staying for supper?
Yeah.
Jerry is a car salesman at a dealership owned by Wade, his father-in-law, who's made it clear he won't just hand his hard-earned money over to his greedy and sneaky son-in-law.
All right. I'll talk to my boss.
Jerry has an idea to buy a parking lot, and he's asked Wade to invest. Again, Wade isn't easily part with his money, but it seems like a profitable opportunity to his accountant, Stan. So maybe now Jerry won't need the ransom money from his kidnapped wife. But Carl and Gayar are already on their way from Fargo to Minneapolis, don't you know?
Hey, look at that, Twin Cities.
For once, the movie isn't set in Los Angeles or New York City, so we don't see the Twin Towers, but instead a direct reference to twins. In Minnesota, the Twin Cities are Minneapolis and St. Paul, two urban centers separated only by the Mississippi River. While Jerry is at work and their son Scotty is at school, Jean is home alone, knitting and watching daytime TV.
Katie and I, along with Twin City Travel.
We get another reference to the Twin Cities, this time with an image of the sun. Just like the moon, the sun is a popular symbol used in the mystery religion. It is worshipped as a god, just like the moon and stars. Jean sees her would-be kidnappers approach her house and break in. She tries to fight back, she tries to run away and call the police, and she tries to hide. In her frantic state, she blindly falls down the stairs, making their job a lot easier as she's knocked unconscious. Jerry's investment opportunity turns into nothing when Wade basically takes it from him.
I assume if you're not interested, you won't mind if we move on it. Independently.
That is stone cold. But Jerry isn't exactly a trustworthy guy, and maybe Wade knows that. They allude to some serious debt that Jerry has tried to solve with vehicle inventory off the lot, and now he's willing to sacrifice his own wife. Jerry comes home to realize Carl and Gayar have held up their end of the deal. The two get pulled over in Brainerd, Minnesota, claimed home of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, a giant lumberjack, and his giant pet cerulean ox. Anyway, they are only pulled over because they don't have permanent license plates on the borrowed car from Jerry. But they have Jean in the back seat, and Gayar isn't taking any chances.
Just clear him off the road.
The silent sidekick chases down two would-be witnesses and doesn't take any chances with them either, and shoots them both in cold blood. With one trooper and two bystanders dead, the local police investigate, and that's a very pregnant Chief Marge Gunderson.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
I'll fix you some eggs.
She quickly assesses the crime scene and easily ascertains what happened. The symbolism around the police obviously includes 911 on the police cruisers, another pointer to the fateful day in 2001 and the Twin Towers. But the 8-pointed star on Marge's hat and coat seemed to be more sun symbolism. Not to mention she investigates in the light of day, which is shortened in the wintertime. Marge is incredibly intuitive for a small-town police chief. Chances are they don't see many multiple homicides in Brainerd, but she immediately senses they aren't looking at someone local as suspects.
I'm not sure that I agree with you 100% on your police work there, Lil.
Back in Minneapolis, Jerry has brought in Wade and accountant Stan and given them a story that Jean's kidnappers have demanded $1 million ransom, which is significantly more than the $80,000 he's splitting with Carl and Gayar.
Well,
$1 million is a lot of damn money.
Yeah, but
There they are. They got my daughter.
This reminds me of the grift from Suicide Kings. Ask for more and pocket the rest. While Wade has genuine care and worry for his daughter, Jerry doesn't seem to consider his own young son and how he might feel about his mother being kidnapped. And even though Jerry is the mastermind behind this egregious crime, he's not really concerned about Jean's safety.
They're not gonna want to hurt her any. These men, they just want money.
No, you just want money, Jerry. Marge progresses in the investigation and she interviews two witnesses, some local girls who spent the night with Carl and Gayar before they kidnapped Jean.
He wasn't circumcised.
Was he funny looking apart from that?
Circumcision of the foreskin was a sign that Yahweh commanded his people Israel as a sign they would be set apart from the world. It seems like this comment is a way to say Carl isn't Jewish, but is a Gentile. He isn't set apart to do the Lord's work, and he's not doing what the Father commands, obviously. Jerry goes about his business while his wife is being held captive in some remote location. He gets a call from Carl, who demands more money for the risk they've incurred and the fact that 3 people are dead.
We now want the entire 80,000.
They don't know that Jerry told Wade the ransom is $1 million, and Wade insists on being involved with the kidnappers since he's putting up his own money.
The heck do you mean?
They want my money, they can deal with me. Otherwise, I'm going to a professional.
Again, it's Jerry who wants his money. The investigation brings Marge to the Twin Cities, but no matter where she is or what she's doing, Marge prioritizes food. In nearly every scene, Marge is seen eating something, like Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11.
Would you happen to know a good place for lunch in the downtown area?
And Marge, as I mentioned, is a good cop, and she finds herself in Jerry's office. Not because she suspects his involvement, but because he's a manager, and the real suspects are driving a new car with dealer license plates.
You haven't had any vehicles go missing then?
Nope, no ma'am.
Carl leaves Jean with Gayar at the cabin and drives back to Minneapolis to collect their ransom. Wade is still determined to make the deal instead of Jerry, so he brings the money to meet Carl.
I got your damn money. Now where's my daughter?
Carl shoots Wade and takes the $1 million, but not before Wade gets a shot off on Carl's face. Jerry comes too late to save Wade or get the money.
Well, I'm going to bed now.
Carl then realizes there's a lot more than $80,000 in the bag, which he buries in the snow before returning to Gayar. The whole scene reminds me of a parable in the Bible. The master's money given to servants, one of them buries his talents. This angers the master because there's nothing to show for his investment. As Marge gets ready to go back to Brainerd, she visits Jerry once more at the dealership.
I'm on my way out of town, but I was wondering, do you mind if I sit down? Carrying a bit of a load here.
Marge asks again about the borrowed car with dealer plates, and Jerry acts so suspiciously, it puts Marge on guard with him. But then he flees right away, and it will be to his own detriment.
He's fleeing the interview. He's fleeing the interview.
Carl gets back to the cabin to finish his partnership with Gayar, and Carl wants to keep the Tan Sierra, payment for his pain and suffering.
Are we square? Are we square?
But Gayar isn't having it. The plot thickens when Marge learns about Jean being kidnapped and now Wade missing, all people connected to Jerry. She locates the Tan Sierra as she searches for Jerry and confronts Gayar, who is taking care of his former partner in a gruesome but effective way.
So that was Mrs. Lundegaard on the floor in there. And I guess that was your accomplice and the wood chipper.
Authorities track down Jerry and take him into custody. With everyone involved either dead or arrested, the case is closed. Oh, what a tangled web. Marge can rest easy knowing she's done her job well, and the movie ends with Marge and her husband Norm in bed, watching TV, waiting for their baby.
2 more months.
2 more months.
Despite the title of the movie, Fargo isn't where the bulk of the action takes place, and no scene was even filmed in Fargo. Just like the true story claim, Fargo is an illusion. It's a distraction. It's only meant to sound cooler than Brainerd. Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox have about as much to do with the film as Fargo, North Dakota. I will just expand on the legend briefly of the giant lumberjack. Several cities around the American Midwest and French Canada claim the home of Paul Bunyan. The folklore, or some call it fake lore, surrounding Paul Bunyan and his size, his achievements, and his relationship with a giant animal have been debated for decades. We can consider it a metaphor for the entire film, but still, a reference to the giant, real or not, makes me think of biblical giants, which are equally debated. Surprisingly, not much Freemason symbolism, but there was plenty of duality. First of all, several mentions of the Twin Cities, and twins will always make me think of Twin Towers in New York. In addition to 911 being on the police cruiser that Marge drives around everywhere, and 911, either spoken or in print, is always a symbol of September 11th, 2001, and will always be considered a predictive pointer to the purposeful destruction of the Twin Towers. Now, the Twin Towers themselves are symbols of the twin pillars, Boaz and Jachin, in a Freemason temple, so we know who is behind everything. The original builders of the nations. Besides the Twin Cities, Carl and Gayar are themselves dual. One silent, one a loudmouth. One tall, one small. One blonde, one brunette. One fallen, one stands. And it's proven they are Gentiles, or of the nations, pointing once more to Freemasons. So while we don't get a lot of obvious symbolism like checkerboards, black and white, or even red and blue, the subtle duality symbolism was still there. Even in the writer-director sibling duo, the Coens represent duality. The sun symbolism, while typically representing male or masculine energy, seems to be more present with the females. First with Jean on the TV, then with Marge for the remainder of the film, in her badge. In Roman Catholicism, they worship the sun, as they change the Sabbath day to Sunday, which is named for the bright luminary to light the day. And Sol Invictus is their Messiah. Often their saints are pictured with a sun halo around their heads. The sun is very important. In Fargo, very rarely were dark deeds done in the dark, or at night. Jean was taken in the day, and the investigation was always done during the day, which, as I mentioned, is shortened during the wintertime. So it was a very deliberate decision for filmmakers to have the majority of their exterior shots while the sun was out. And Marge, with her persistent sun symbolism, is the reluctant hero of the film. Chances are her unborn baby is a boy. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for enduring to the end. Give it a thumbs up if you agree and a thumbs down if you disagree. Go ahead and comment below what you think I missed with this one and to recommend any title you'd like me to deconstruct in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you want to, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.
You see something down there, Chief?
No, I just think I'm gonna barf.